Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. We are all set for the NHL playoffs coming up this weekend, essentially, and I just wanted to talk a little bit maybe about predictions and what I think will happen for the rest of the regular season. Colorado has legit already finished their regular season, which is crazy, by the way. But nonetheless, just briefly talk. I'll do a full predictions video before the postseason begins. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on just like the actual NHL. I feel like we don't talk about that enough. I'll be going to Game 1 of Toronto and Ottawa. That is a locked up series, so pretty excited about that. I have a much better feeling about Toronto this year, but I got to be honest with you, I will pick Ottawa simply because 9 straight years of essentially, or 8 out of 9 years getting knocked out in the first round. I don't know why any Leaf fan would believe that they are going to win this series, but I will be at Game 1. So if anyone's going to be at Game 1, hopefully maybe I'll see you guys there. Second series is going to be Tampa and Florida. I feel like Tampa's rolling into the playoffs and Florida is kind of fading in. It's hard to knock out the team that literally has made the finals 2 straight years, but I think Tampa is like low key the best team in the Eastern Conference for some reason. I don't know why. Not really a lot to base that on, just from vibes. But I feel like they're extremely strong top to bottom. In the Metro, we got Washington. Actually, we should discuss this. Montreal and the Blue Jackets. Now, I have made it very clear. I do not like the Montreal Canadiens or their fans, simply because of EA Sports. Documented this many times. I apologize, Habs fans. I mean nothing by it. But unfortunately, this video game has made me hate the Montreal Canadiens. If you watch my streams, 85% of the teams that I face are the Montreal Canadiens logo. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. I'm just done. Then you got the Lane Hudson and Macklin Celebrini. Congrats. Lane Hudson's going to win the Calder. But I think Macklin's still a far better player. And Demidov is the real deal. Okay. That being said, oh my God, would it be hilarious if the Blue Jackets win their last game and you guys lose to the Hurricanes? It would just be cinema. I don't think it'll happen. To be honest, what I think actually happens is that the Montreal Canadiens make it to overtime and lose again, like they did with Chicago, and Columbus wins, and the Canadiens win on tiebreak. That's legitimately what I think happens. And then you've got Carolina, New Jersey. No disrespect to your fans. That has got to be power ranked as the least interesting series. I've been to Carolina and I've been to New Jersey. Great fan bases. Really boring outside of their region. And especially because New Jersey is missing their 2 best players. Or Dougie might be back, it looks like, but no Jack on the Devils. Just makes it feel like they have no chance. In the West, again, kind of a mess. Shout out to Calgary for making it a run. Unbelievable that they even got to game 81 and still had a chance to make the playoffs. The Blues had to win 15 straight games in a row. They just always seem to get into the playoffs. It's absurd, really. But it is what it is. Winnipeg looks like they're going to be taking on the Blues. This should be over very quickly. I don't think Hellebuck is a big game goaltender. And much like the Leafs, I don't see how anyone could have conviction that the Winnipeg Jets will win when they just seemingly haven't. But if I was having to bet, I would put money on the Jets. But man, there's something with the Blues, man. They always just they're just annoying. They're just like, you know what I mean? Like they never go away. Dallas, Colorado. This should be a conference final. I am going to go with Colorado, but whoever wins this series, I think, will probably win the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference. I could see either one. Vegas and Minnesota. I apologize, Minnesota fans. This is the last year of you not getting to be a real franchise simply because of the Suter and Parise contracts. You get $15 million in dead cap gone. Obviously, there's extensions that'll kick in, like with Faber, but you get to. I don't see how any team in the cap era ever gets to compete with $15 million in dead cap. It's unbelievable they have, and they've drafted so well. This is the last year of them being just like, good job for getting in. You're out in the first round. And then you've got LA and Edmonton. I talked about this on Let's Go Hockey. Same thing with, I feel like this is the least talked about ass whooping of the last 4 years. Like Toronto and Boston, or Toronto and Tampa, or Toronto in the first round, it gets all of like the media. But the fact that the Kings have literally lost to the Edmonton Oilers 3 straight seasons, again, to be like, why would you vote this time? If there was ever a year that the Kings were going to do it, it's this one. I still don't think that they will. There is no reason. Edmonton looks hurt, decimated. They all LA just can never handle the Oilers' speed, and they still have Connor McDavid. So I think it goes 7. But if the Kings don't beat Edmonton this year, I don't know what they do like for the next, I don't know, decade with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. No idea. You can't get by this team. It is what it is. All right, so that was a long-winded. I apologize. Thought I'd just roughly talk about it. We'll see how the predictions go, but I'll do a full video. But let me know who you think is going to make it out of each conference and win the cup. All right, let's get into some of the top liked comments. I asked you guys about team of the season, what you thought. A lot of you guys had a ton of feedback, and this one got 20 likes. So we're gonna start with Kenny. This year's Team of the Year event has been terrible. 1591s for these cards is stupidly absurd. We were at Endgame, and they make the event unusable for almost everyone. And on top of that, some of the cards aren't even as good as regular cards they are releasing. I had a lot of the Team of the Season cards, so I converted them, or Team of the Year cards, so I converted them over to Team of the Season. But even as someone who plays a ton, I have enough to make one MSP, and I'm waiting until week 3, hoping one of the cards comes close to justifying 1591s. And the reason so many people are complaining is because this year's Hut team is so far off base in almost everything they do. From the absolute rip-off that the X Factors have been this year, same thing with the Icon cards and nerfing the fantasy cards by freezing the Endurance at 85. Those cards were so expensive, yet the few that have hit 99 are nerfed by getting exhausted after one rush. And for most of the fantasy cards, they set the stats so low, they aren't really usable until they hit 99. The EA team just seems to find a way to suck the fun out of literally everything they put out, which is really frustrating because the game itself was very fun. Harsh, but also a lot of points that I agree with. They have really nerfed value this year. So I think I've talked about this all year. I think that their philosophy is that they want to make the events as strong as possible. And the way that you make events strong, as A, make the event good, but also eliminate the year-round chase cards, because then what happens is every event is like, oh, did one of my chase cards get upgraded? Right. So it's like, I'll just work on creating icons or X factors, right? So if you remove the value of those, the events just become inherently better. And I don't think that every event has been bad. I think the Gallery of Greats and Warp Speed event have been great. The problem is that hurts future events or even prior events, right? So I don't know how they find that middle ground. I think that X Factors, I don't know how this reminds me. This reminds me of Hut Rush. So I knew that Hut Rush was going to be kicked out 2 years before it happened because they stopped investing time in it. Something that EA usually does, and you see this in a cycle, because again, they have a smaller team, so they can't work on every mode. Like Be It Pro has been touched in 6 years. And what ends up happening is they make a new mode, do a big, like, here's all this new stuff, and then it's like they don't touch it for 4 years. But they'll make tweaks to it, and then like for 3 straight years they just won't touch it. And then they'll do like the big, oh, we got to address this, right? X Factors were so nerfed in the sense that it didn't make sense when they came out. Like the cadence at which they were released it doesn't really make much sense. There's only 4 that upgrade like normal. Every team isn't represented. I just don't understand how they were supposed to be like the fun, good cards. It is just like, it reminds me of Hut Rush, where it's like, we have this mode, we're not going to improve it. It's just in the game to say it's in the game. Power Up Icon's the exact same. Why give full art cards to icons and then they don't upgrade, right? Like, I think that something that I've seen in the background is that they have to commission getting the art done for master set player items. They commissioned, like, I don't know how many there are. Is there 24? I think there's 12 for each vintage and modern. If they had to commission 24 cards to get card art, I would have rather just seen every single fantasy card have master set card art. Like, that's what I would have done instead, right? Because if the power up icons or the icons aren't going to upgrade, like, I don't care that an 82 overall has full card art. That seems like a waste to me. I think progression for the most part has been pretty good. I think that when you realize what happens when everything gets to 99, it's a really big letdown. However, the skating you can't. The warp speed event is just it really hammered all future events. To be honest, now that I think about it, I said that the warp speed event should be right before team of the season. It should be the first event after team of the season. But you can't do that because of the playoff event, right? Like obviously there's gonna be a playoff event. I think that they've done a good job with fantasy cards in the sense that they made fantasy cards for the World Juniors, best World Junior event by far, not even close. I mean, we had people watching Axel Sandine Palika, you know. Um, that being said, I hope they do the same thing for the playoff event. Playoffs. I hope to God, because I always hate that event. It lasts like 6 months. Well, not 6 months, but 2 months, and it's like ugh. The fantasy cards for that would be so sick. Like every round, you just release them. But when it comes to team of the season, the cost jump was so high. And one of the biggest issues with events this year has been they're like, first of all, it started out really weird. They didn't really have this like it seemed like they didn't have really flushed out what they wanted to do. And then eventually they're like, okay, 85s become 87s, 87s become 89s, right? And then they made it where it was event cards, which kills the value of a lot. And we had to deal with that. But then the thing that's not really acknowledged is that when you get high enough, it is very hard to pull 91 overall cards. There is less 91 cards available. You pull less 91s, it now makes it so expensive that we that can't afford them. And team of the season cards should be very expensive. They should be. They are cards that upgrade all year round. They have free abilities. There's a ton of free abilities, and they're the most popular players for the most part. That being said, I hope that they go back to, unless they can create something brand new. Unless they can create something brand new, I hope they go back to the collectible system where every card has a value. Um, that fixes the economy, in my opinion, and it makes it so whenever you pull something, it's like, yeah, no matter what. Like when you pull an 84, it's like, So I'm with you on this, man. I don't really know their vision because we don't get to speak to them anymore. Um, and hopefully we can repair that relationship or something. But hopefully there's more of a focus on like live series stuff going into next year. Next year, I will become a casual player with zero chase cards from the start. The game is not worth the grind. 100%, I agree. I think that it literally, actually, one of the comments, I'd rather just play online versus a roll and shell. I could be completely wrong here, guys. It is just, again, from what I have seen from past, you know, hut teams, is that when something isn't kept up to speed, X factors and icons, then it slowly is just killed off. And then they'll come out with something brand new 3 years later, right? Like that's just you can see tons of examples of that as my hair is just being like Goku or Vegeta or something. Um, and I think that the problem is the good thing about NHL that NHL does very well is that compared to other sports franchises, that every Friday a new event comes out. I don't know if FIFA's the same, but every Friday the player base is excited. Whether you're excited once you see the content, but nonetheless, I can see it in the numbers, my numbers. I can see it in EA's numbers. Like Fridays are awesome because of the new event structure. They capture their audience every week, right? But so trying to make only the events the thing that where you get new cards, it just makes it okay. You have to keep up. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with Ultimate Team is that where you lose, there is a delicate balance between keeping up and losing your player base because not everyone can play as much. This year, I have played the least amount due to lack of time. My son is getting older. I don't have time, to play 8 hours on the weekend, even though it's my job, right? Like I have to make other videos. I'm doing things with MLB. I have other events and stuff like that. So even as someone whose job it is to play the game, I this is the least I've been able to play it. And it is still easy to make a free to play team, but the way that you do it is by not having the fun you want to have. Um, and when you don't have the grind cards that you can work towards, that's what separated Hockey Ultimate Team from Versus. The year-long grind cards, that you work really hard for, the Wayne Gretzky, the Jerome McGinley, the team builders, all of that. Those cards are what make the mode really fun, and then you supplement those cards with events. And maybe they didn't see the financial. They wanted to change things up in terms of a business model, and one way to do it is to okay, there's no year-round cards, so you better just be getting all the cards you want now. And if they release a really good event, and you don't have set fodder that you can just throw in from your collection. You're like, well, better spend some money, right? And I think that we're all getting old enough, or not old enough. We're all getting savvy enough with the mode. If you've been following me for years, you probably understand the mode a lot, and I appreciate you still watching my channel. But we're all really understanding how to make a team very easily, and it's just this part's frustrating. And I think the new team, I have hopes that this will be the worst that it will be for the content of Hockey Ultimate Team. I think it was a bridge year. I think it's absolutely brutal that that is even a thing. It's not acceptable, but I think that next year, I'm hoping that they take all the data and they're like, okay. And I'm completely wrong about year-round chase cards being removed. I don't think they'll remove them. It'd be such a terrible look. When I say remove, I mean even less than what we've got now, which is essentially 12 icons, 12 icons, and like 4X factor, 8X factors, right? So, 10 X factors. So that's 22. I think it'll be less next year. Team of the season this year has been a massive letdown. The cost is whatever. To be honest, I think the cost is fine and very doable. I think the problem lies in that team of the season sets have a timer on them. Regardless of the year, team of the season sets never had a time on them. I think if we remove the timers from the event, I'd make the event so much more accessible to everyone. Timers on sets have completely messed up the game and are not appreciated by anyone. People want to be able to make any kind of card whenever they want. Team of the year in fantasy, I think, should have sets that make perfect sense. Team of the season should not. It's team of the season. These cards should be accessible to be anyone be made for the rest of the year. It's the last big. I I completely agree with that. They should just be able to be made when I think all event cards should be. But what I think is, again, they're trying to change the business model, because if you saw that you could make team of the season card in a month from now, let's say Draisaitl gets a 96 overall card, people could just go back and make that 96 overall team of the season card. The new event card that's 96 overall, they're like, I'm not making this. So it doesn't set up well for that. Right. And also on top of that, why would you spend money now if you could just wait a little while, collect all the rewards? That's why. Right. Like, that's why I see. And again, I try to think realistically. Right. Like, as a business, you probably wouldn't want that. There needs to be a happy medium, though. Like, during team of the season, yes, you should be able to make any of the team of the season cards. They're not upgrading them. They haven't given up upgrade. That's another big problem with year-round cards. They just don't upgrade them regularly. Right. So it's not like they're upgrading them during. It's not like they're fantasy cards. So I'm with you on that. There is not enough hours in the day to grind minimal rewards. Thanks, Sleeves, the amazing content from the beginning. I should have listened closer to you during the fantasy event. Guys, every year, like I said, the fantasy event is one of the best events year round, simply because they have no control over it. Are there risks? Yes. And you pay for those dearly, because I spent 600,000 coins on John Carlson, right? But I also spent, 400,000 coins in value on Kyle Palmieri, 99, right? As well as Colton Parayko, arguably the best card ever released. And that's why, and not to mention, it's a card that no matter what is tied to real play. And I think that's something that we have learned this year, is that, man, there just was not enough cards that interacted with real life, Team of the season, we got 6 cards, and a lot of the time it didn't make any sense. So, I hope that there's a way to improve that. I would love it if they made base cards go up and down based on the performance of players, like they do in MLB. I don't think they would have to develop like a system for that, like analytically, or hire people to, and I just don't think they would. I spent so much on making Lidstrom, and he's still 90. Doesn't even make my team anymore. Brutal, man. Again, this is like another sight, or another foreshadowing of just like, we're done with icons and X factors. Like, stop worrying about upgrading them. They're not important. We're just going to release content, and that's tied with the current event. We're not going to worry about power-up icons. The old content team, if you go back and look, like, they would find a way to give an upgrade for every month, and there were 60 icons, 60 of them. Like, that's just absurd to me that there was that many. So crazy. That's going to do it for today's video. A little bit of a different one here. But thank you guys again for watching. And I'll see you next time. We still have Team of the Week, or Team of the Season Week 3 coming up. So be sure to tune in for the content for that. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one.